Hi guys. Hi guys. I'm Celeste. Clearly I have some stuff going on, like I haven't really got ready for the day and stuff. I don't know, guys. I have a lot to... This angle's kind of not that good. Oh, there's an eyelash in my eye. Oh my gosh. How could that happen to me? Anyway, wow, this angle is so bad. How did it get worse? I swear. Okay. The slight adjustment, you know that's right. One second. There's like a lot going on, right? There's a lot I could talk to you guys about. There's so much I could talk to you guys about. There's glitter on my face. I couldn't get it all off. Wow, I should really hold myself accountable for the fact that glitter exists. Like, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I really did that to you. I mean, I didn't actually, that's how I feel, you know? Like, I'm so sorry. Not that I look like there's glitter on me, but that somewhere out there you feel like there's glitter on you, and that's my fault. Not because you were inspired by me or because I created glitter, but because if somebody's soul deserves to go into debt, or that it's probably mine, like, not for any reason. I'm sorry that, like, you're having that experience, not because I empathize with you personally, but because I'm probably the reason why it's terrible that you're having that experience. Not because I exist or anything, because I don't, but, like, it's some other reason. I don't know why yet. I haven't decided. Wow, you guys are so mean. You want me to decide before I tell you? That's crazy. Anyway, this is coffee. You wouldn't want to know details on that. Not for a specific reason, I guess. Anyway, I'm like, what do I have to say to talk all the way up to what I wanted to talk to you guys about? And which part did I want to talk to you guys? Guys, being a YouTuber is so hard. Being a YouTuber, it's so hard. Why is it hard? It's hard because anything I want to say, I have to, like, preface and, like, work up to it to where it feels like a part of the story that's where it deserves to be in the story. But, like, telling you guys useless information is, like, I don't know why. I kind of think sometimes if I tell you guys, like, useless information, it's gonna, like, set the scene, right? It's like a movie. So it's like if you guys are watching it, it's kind of like when you're watching, okay, I imagine that watching a movie, oh my gosh, it fell. Okay, I guess, like, okay, the corpse bride is, like, an example I use all the time with myself, so I guess I could use that example with you. So when you're watching a movie like that, like a claymation, I don't know who The Labyrinth was made by, but if it was, I don't know if it was also made by Tim Burton or not, but it might have been. But also, how long has that dude lived? Like, a long time. I don't know anything about Tim Burton that much, but, like, how many years have you lived if you also made The Labyrinth? Like, you lived a lot of years, like, immortal vampire or something, because, like, what do you mean you're still alive? No offense, but, like, how are you still alive? Not that he's surprisingly dead, he's not, he's surprisingly alive, because if you make so many movies about being dead or other people being dead, then it makes you alive. Long story, but that turns you into somebody who's alive, not dead. Oh yeah, and also I don't mean physically alive or dead. Long story again. I mean like the soul more. The more death you put out into the world, the more you actually get like being alive in return. It's the opposite of what you would think it is. Like it flips. So that's why you see people have like cycles of like life and death, because creatively they're putting life out there, but then life dies. But when you're seen by other people as being dead, it actually makes your soul alive, because everyone realizes you're dead, and then you get energy to like fix the part of you that's dead, because they think you're so dead that you're like physically dead, or like they go crazy. They think you're actually dead, but you're not, and they think you're like dying because you alluded to something being dead, and then you receive more energy to like fix it. You have to believe in energy or you're like not that smart, so it's fine. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, a movie like I was talking too fast, but I'm so annoying. I'm so annoying. Like actually, that wasn't fun. Anyway, a movie like The Corpse Bride, you are essentially, as you're watching it, you're journeying and traveling into your own mind, into like a part of your soul that you just like haven't really worked on that much, and then you're working on it by watching the movie. And that sounds, I know, like, wow, you're so lazy and you're doing something at the same time, but you have to kind of understand like the energy. It puts you into energy, like it puts you into the I'm actively doing something energy. So it actually gives you more time, essentially, because you're actively doing something as you're just sitting there watching the movie. Which again, you're gonna think like, I'm just stupid. Possibly. But yeah, it is what it is. Like some of the things that are just kind of true are like, sounds stupid as hell, because it's like, what do you mean you accomplished something kind of by watching the movie? Like your soul did, because you got to work on the part of you that was what the movie shows you about yourself. So yeah. And then that can bring you back into the energy after watching something like that of, oh, I remember that like every time an artist creates an album, they're actually giving me an opportunity to work on the same part of myself that they essentially have surpassed like the collective on like their level of how far they've worked on that part of themselves. What is that? Hi guys, again. I'm sweating and I'm wearing makeup, and I decided to just get ready and like come to the park because I wanted to do like a get ready with me, and then my dad came home and I was like, honestly, I don't even really like recording YouTube videos while there's other people there. And I grew up basically thinking I was supposed to be like kind of quiet because I was like annoying to people. Like that was like my personal brand as a child was, which I didn't really choose, but it was that I'm like annoying and like that I should just be quiet a lot of the time to a lot of people. And a lot of generations believed like, you know, you barely speak unless you're like spoken to. There was like a little bit of influence in that, but also you can't say anything that's weird, but everything's weird because you're just a different person than the people who are like talking to you or not talking to you, you know what I mean? And it's not anything against my dad, like specifically, it's not that. It's just that like I still feel all of that from when I was like a child in a way. So I still feel like I'm supposed to like conform to like who I was when I was a child in a way, but it's probably like just me like in my head. But I felt like when I was a child I had to like I came into the planet with issues, and some of those issues, while I've been able to work on it, I feel like I'm still supposed to like believe in the issues that I supposedly like had as a child, like kind of thing. But it's also like thought forms that were passed down from different generations. So yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, but it's not anything against my dad, because it's not like he's like perpetuating that, like, at least never knowingly, never intentionally. He's never like, as far as I know, he's not like, I would want you guys to like think like that. But it kind of, I don't know, the world started to come across that way when I was like a child, and then I never got to like undo all of that or take off the like pretend disguise that I didn't know that I put on, but I only put on that disguise because like I just thought I didn't deserve to like matter as a person. But that was obviously my problem, that I thought that I didn't deserve to matter as a person. So then it's like, it doesn't mean it's other people's fault that you never outgrew the made up persona you made as a child because you thought you were supposed to not matter and just be like quiet and not like that much of like a real person, and like, but even though that was like how I perceived who I was like supposed to be when I was younger, I became someone who like doesn't have to think of myself that way, or I try to like upgrade how I perceive myself. It's already just been a very like full circle life experience, but I just haven't even gone all the way with my life experience, like I don't know. Oh, well, I do know. There's a lot of stuff I'm still figuring out, clearly. Sorry guys, I was just getting stuff out of my backpack. So my backpack that I got for songwriting, I'm not in school, but I got a couple of things. You're in the wrong spot. We're gonna move you a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna drink water and think about what I wanted to say and, figure it out. This world has been really weird. This world is still really weird, but it's gotten like a little bit better. Who comes first in people we all look up to, and what they represent and the kind of energy that they hold, and where you grow up, what you're able to create for yourself, what you're not able to create for yourself, and then what you have around you and the people you have around you and the way that that hits you at certain times in your life changes a lot, right? It changes so much. And I don't know how or when people's souls essentially choose like who they look up to, because you think that it's conscious. You think that it's like you walking around saying, oh, like, I want to look up to this person because of this and this and that. But meanwhile, it's like there's a certain energy that they hold that you can sense if you're smart enough to be able to sense energy. Some people might blindly do it, but depending on what energy you're able to sense when you look up to different people in your life, and then also the thought forms that are passed down to you, it's really interesting because you absorb all of this. Then your life story and your age continues, and the people around you continue from where they got to be when they started. And then meanwhile, you might still have all of these ideas that you just absorbed at some point in time that they never had to deal with. And they might think that you're so similar to them that, like, you evolving in this one area that they never had to deal with, so then they can evolve faster everywhere else. Like, it's like they look at you and they're like, well, you were never supposed to put so much weight on like why you're different from me, because that means you don't like me. And it's like, that's not what that was supposed to be about. But so much. And then it's like, as the timeline continues, you have so many things that you have to work on and so much baggage that you're carrying. But then it's like the people next to you never had to deal with that. So it's like they're in the space in the collective timeline that might even be ahead of you just because you had more you had to work on. But it's like it never crossed their mind, all the stuff that you had already overcome because they never had to, or they did it in a past life, or they're saving it for the next life, or whatever, we don't know. Or it was just never a wound they had to work on because they were actually just someone else entirely the whole time. And that'll be like the people that you're at school with, or the people who are your family who are older than you, or the people who are your family who are younger than you, or the people who are, I don't know, people who are celebrities you look up to, people who are now influencers that you look up to. I don't know. I don't know if it's right to say that some people have to figure out who they are more than other people. But that might be true, you know? You have to know where you come from. But this little squirrel, it's like, first of all, the heart is beating so fast I can see it in the stomach. Like, you're so dramatic. I'm happy that you want to survive, but like, you're seriously so dramatic about other people finding out about your survival. Like, the squirrel is extra for real. Calm down. You're so, I get it. You're excited that you're so alive. Like, it's getting weird though. Like, gosh, like, you can tone down. Like, we don't need to see your heartbeat in your stomach. Like, kind of extra, right? I don't walk around like that. I don't know about everybody. See, but wherever that squirrel comes from, that's so normal. Blending in and stuff, right? Someone on a bike scooting by. I still don't want to be heard, which is ironic. Well, it's gonna be that way. Dude's in the tennis court, so. I guess I feel weird about people being in the background because I always assume like it changes the story. Maybe I'll go over here and then I'll explain why. Terrible angles. Okay. Is that good? Again, the angle's gonna be really terrible. Can't do that. Wait, this is kind of good. Ah! Of course, I'd make it focus on some random part in the screen, and I don't actually know how serious it is with the iPhone if it's focusing on something. This is sad. Okay, that's actually not bad. But of course I put my water and my juice in there. 1 second. And then get it out and then do the same thing. Okay, this is like almost perfect actually, except for the fact that you're so far away that I think that you aren't sure that I actually exist if you can't fully hear me. This is so sad. And now you're lower. Like I didn't want to move closer. Wow. What I wanted to say, if you're still here, if you still care, what I wanted to say is that the people who come before you have a certain energy and a certain timeline and a certain aura, so that can make you be like, okay, that's who I'm gonna look up to at this point in my life and at this time in my life, but it's also who I feel like I'm allowed to look up to because of all of like the place that the world is in, and like, but how you perceive it and where your soul is coming from versus where you're trying to go. You don't get to like be someone else, like other people. Yeah. Yeah. Like even as I'm saying this, I feel like there's different types of people that will, like, I don't know. I can't find where it's acceptable or fine for me to say anything in my life. I feel like I'm talking in a loop all the time. Like right now, like with you right now, I'm talking in a loop and trying to talk through all of the different barriers about the different ways that different types of people might or might not perceive what I'm saying, and how much I just feel like I'm trying to just fight for a right to express myself and exist and all of that. And there's so many different like ways that it's like I'm just aware that for a lot of people if I don't feel like I have a right to work on improving like a part of myself, it's like I'm supposed to just, or to them they would think that I'm supposed to either give up on that, or that means that I don't care about the representation that came before me, or that means like I feel like people take things so personally that when I try to work on figuring out what it even means to be myself, other people find a way to be insulted by that. And other people, and these aren't random people on the internet, I'm saying like this is like the archetype of what I remember almost everyone I've ever met being, because there was some part of them that fully encapsulated this. Not that that's what they meant for it to be, but that's like what it comes across as from like where I'm coming from and trying to like upgrade into. Like, if I were to say that there were any moments where I thought people had to be a certain race in order to have a certain career, there are some people on the planet who would agree with me, but then say, wait a minute, like that means you didn't care about whoever came before you in this area or in that area or whatever. And like, it's just so combined. Like, it makes me feel stuck to not have the freedom or the right to express myself. It's just hard. Because if I looked up to somebody who was a different race than me, then people make it about the race of the person that I looked up to and how I must actually be who's weird or wrong for that. And that exists in like 10 million different ways. But then it's like, nobody is my exact race. I'm so mixed that nobody's my exact race, but also you're allowed to look up to anybody of any race. But like, I don't think I've ever met another person who fully believed that. I think I've met people who almost believe that or want to believe that at best. Like at best, as far as all people I've ever met. So you weren't really perceived like that. Your energy wasn't giving that, or the way you talked about things wasn't giving that, or you know, something about you wasn't fully giving that. Or when I talked to you, you found a way to find like a negative side to that. So yeah. So if I tell my story, I think anybody there's like different versions of like archetypes of people who would find some way to find it insulting, but they all find it insulting in different ways. But it's like there's not a reason why they would find it insulting if they thought that I deserved the opportunity to just exist and have an experience as much as I deserve to exist and have an experience. So I don't know if I've ever met somebody who fully believed that. Yeah. Can't wait to, I don't know. Or maybe like one or two people like ever. And I don't know that there's people you can look up to who fully believe that. Maybe they want to, or they pretend to, at best. So that's across like all races of people. So yeah, I don't know. You guys weren't really perceived that way, so. So I understand if you don't perceive me that way, because how on earth could you have perceived me as something different than I perceived you as? So, you know. But yeah, it perpetuates the same issue and situation, and it's sad. But little squirrels like chasing each other, it's so cute.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I felt like I knew what I wanted to say, but then I was like, well, don't forget about all of the more important people who would not want you to say that, you know? Like, it's sad. I don't know. Existing is so awkward, and trying to upgrade your life is so awkward, and trying to figure out how on earth are you going to make sure all of the people who say that they're so much more important than you, or their imaginary version of somebody else is so much more important than you are as a person, like how are you going to make sure that you've apologized to all of them efficiently, and you know, for the fact that you still existed when they were more important than you? How are you going to apologize to them? How are you going to make sure that they feel that way? You're not. Because they were never going to feel that way. Being a human is like so sad, dude. Doesn't mean I don't want the opportunity, it's just sad. The whole thing is so sad. I guess I could start the video a lot of minutes in. The whole video is just how do I start a video? And then it takes forever to upload and I can only record for so long. And it's like no one was gonna watch more than 3 minutes. You know? But like I'm just putting it out there so that I can figure myself out, but that I can't even watch back my own video to like imagine where I would have edited it if I cared about myself so much that I wanted to edit the video and like cut some parts of it out. Like that would be crazy. I used to, I guess, but I guess we could get there. Why was I so important to myself at some point in time that I could have edited the video? And then what made me so unimportant that there's no way I could edit the video? You know? Yeah, what made me so unimportant that there's no way I could just sit here and like edit a YouTube video of myself and then post it. Even though I used to think that I could pretend to be important enough to edit a video that I recorded. Why did the screen do that? The screen, of course, just got super dark for no reason. I thought the video ended, but I didn't. I don't know if like a lot of people really understand things on that type of level on Earth and stuff, like even including celebrities or non-celebrities or whoever. Like I just don't think a lot of people are perceiving things that deeply. Even the ones who are don't perceive everything that deeply. So it's sad. Wow. There was like an ant on my hand, I don't know. But yeah. I just realized I know I'm saying a lot of nothing because I'm trying to figure out what I can say, what I deserve the right to say about my own life and my own experiences. And like, you know, what do I deserve the right to say? So, I knew I wanted to like, I'm like, okay, like just to go back on my personal timeline, I guess, like, I knew I wanted to do, music or sing or something like that for my whole life. And I know that there was, like, representation of people who were different races, but to be fair, I either didn't know about them or they, like, a lot of people, it's not that nobody was ever, like, interesting. It's not about that. It's about, like, I feel like sometimes you don't get to choose who reflects a certain type of energy that you end up looking up to. Don't mind the school behind me. Across the, I don't know, close enough that you could hear the, I don't know, dude. I don't know. There's like ants walking on me again. I felt like as a child, well, I didn't really look up to anybody as a child. I looked up to, as like an actual child, I looked up to myself. As an actual child, I looked up to myself the most. Because I wasn't worried about all of that. Like, I was, at the very start when I was like, okay, when I was like 6 years old, I would say I probably looked up to myself. Like, I was kind of focused on, I was quiet, observant, but I was focused on how can I like, not really like romanticize, but how can I make, because that sounds weird if I'm talking about when I was a child. I didn't mean it in that context, but like, for lack of different ways to explain it, you know, but I wanted, I don't know why I'm looking as if that has something to do with me, but it's like I can't even see the school because it's far away. Like, I'm just stupid. But yeah. Wow, I hate myself so much. It's so hard to even form a thought. And what I can actually tell you, like, I hope you guys know that that means that it's not that I'm incapable. Every time that I do that, I just tell myself it's not a good enough thing to say, or other people would disagree that are more important than me. So, like, every time that I try to say something and it doesn't work, or every time I change, like, my train of thought, it's because, like, basically because you guys are having like, I feel like you guys are having an experience that you feel like is more important than me so much that I should just respect that and die or something. I don't know. I don't know. Something like that, you know? So, yeah. Not that I'm, like, unhappy in the moment. but it's so like separated. It's so separated for me. Like I can experience happiness, but then it's not like freedom of expression as a person, right? Because that I would be like completely denied because like I wouldn't deserve, right? So that's like completely separate, you know. Anyway, I don't know where the idea came from when I was like little, when I was a kid, but I wasn't focused on like how can I learn who I am or how I want to express myself. I was kind of focused on like of course that's there. It's just giving you guys more reasons to like click off the video and like not watch, you know, because it'd be kind of weird if you wanted to, I guess. You know. Cute little horse just sorting grass apparently. I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know. See, now there's a motorcycle. The motorcycle is so much more important. I'm like, why would I even talk? Like, it's not like you guys want to hear me, you want to hear the motorcycle. Not because I like motorcycles. I don't know why you would like motorcycles, but I bet that that's something that you wouldn't want me to interrupt because it's like way more important than me, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I guess, I definitely learned to make space for other people's experiences and never why would I make space for my own experience? Why would it matter if I tried to make space for my own experience? Like, that I don't feel like I learned the first page of that much. Anyway, it makes everything more ironic, I guess, about my life. Because I found, like, I was always looking for like a loophole of like, well, how can I feel so important that like it would matter if I made space for myself, even if it's not in like with like is actually me that I'm making space for, but like I can make space for like a pretend fake version of me, and that would matter more, you know? So anyway, this is great, I guess. It's actually not that good. But it's the Tropicana pineapple mango. I feel like the mango part's good, but the pineapple part's just like pointless in there. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's that good. I mean, on the bright side, I guess I can talk to you guys about that. Just not the part that's me about myself, but you know, I can talk about that. So I don't know if they'd make just like a normal mango juice, but I think that would be better. Just random stuff. Yeah, so I guess like I was not lazy, I'll tell you that. I was really not lazy at like I think some people would have just been lazy and decided it would just be easier if they just cared about themselves more. Like I decided I have so much energy I can make up this whole entire situation where I have to figure out what kind of acrobatics I can do before I care about myself, metaphorically speaking, or figuratively speaking. I don't know if it's a metaphor, probably. Something like that, you know. Yeah, something like that. I guess, okay, I would put it a few different ways. As I preface everything I say with some reason why you should care, because genuinely this video will get 3 views and all of those 3 will watch it for like 2 minutes. Or if you watch it for more than that, then of course I'm grateful, but I don't know why you would. Not that I wouldn't want you to, but like there's too much there to know why you would. For the 3 people watching, yeah, I guess weirdly I saw race as the reason why other people would not have any justified reason that I would even agree with. Not that I didn't, well, I'll explain that. It's not even like I set out to have internalized racism against myself, but clearly that's where it went. I'll let you know that's where it went. That's where it went very fast in my life. That's where it went very fast in my life. So I don't know if it started when I was super young with like a bias against like gender or something. You know what I'm saying? Because it must have started super early, before I even understood like some of these concepts. Had to be like where it started. But where it ends is like it didn't end. Like I'm trying so hard, but where it ends is that it didn't end. But like that's what I'm working on, like fixing and undoing, and it took me 41 minutes just to tell you that, because it was so hard to even tell you that, because I would have had to pretend to be somebody else to think that I deserved the right to tell you that, but I would have had to pretend to be somebody of a different race in order to deserve the right to tell you that. That's like crazy, right? But it doesn't mean I walked around like being racist towards other people, but it means that like I had this weird thing where I had to make sure I made space for them and never made space for myself, regardless of what their experience was. It was like race was like my excuse to not make space for myself, but not because I deserved it for any reason. I just like thought somebody else deserved the opportunity to exist way more than me, but there's not like a specific person that I thought it was like about. It was just everybody. I came from somewhere. Oh my gosh. I was gonna say I came from somewhere, super weird, but I accidentally said somebody, but like I wasn't meaning it about people, so that was completely not meant as an insult. I just accidentally said that for real, so that was so sad. Like, again, not as like, that's weird. That's sad. But people accidentally say stuff all the time and it doesn't actually mean something. So, and 3 people are gonna watch this, so it doesn't matter. I could literally say the opposite, but yeah. Anyway. I have so much stuff that I have to like work on. I might as well tell you now. Now that we made it 44 minutes into the video. Now that it doesn't make sense for me to even tell you anything that matters, I guess I'll tell you. I don't know why. It's not like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just that I think that like, if I ever look, and I think culture now has a lot to do with it too, I still have, it's like, I don't even know why I would begin to understand where I fit into all of this, which adds to the layers of problems where I can't even have a conversation with you, right? It adds to all of that. When I can't figure out, it's like, I think that if I ever looked up to, and then it sounds like the opposite, and it's a problem. Politics of the world are a serious like issue, and just never wanting my words to be like used in the wrong way is a terrible problem. It's so bad. It's so bad. I definitely feel like somehow if I ever looked up to somebody who was a white person, then I was a terrible person and deserved to die. But if I ever forgot to look up to somebody who was a black person, then I deserve to die. But I don't want that to be sounding like it's about like taken in like a weirdly like racist Republican way, because that's not even who I am. But I feel like that's how people would take it, but they don't understand that the reason why is because I'm also factoring in how I think I'm supposed to feel about my own race, which is not terrible, but it causes a terrible problem is what I mean. It causes a terrible problem where I'm like, anything I say is going to be taken that way by the whole planet, even though the whole planet's not listening or watching, but I can't get to a point where I would want people to listen. Even if it were something important. Even if I were sitting here on fire, I cannot get to a point where I want you guys to listen. I just would pretend to. I'd pretend to be somebody else to do that, so. Because I have such an expansive imagination and a lot of energy as a person, and my soul has a lot of energy, I found it very easy in my life to pretend to be people who already have a personality archetype where they're capable of making space for themselves. Which is hilarious because unfortunately other people found out before me saying it, so it is what it is. Anyway, hilariously, I feel like if I were ever like, oh, I looked up to Taylor Swift at some point in my life, everybody who ever hears that would freak out, start screaming, and they'd be like, because a lot of people actually would. Just not people you've met, I guess. I don't know. But like, I've met a surprising number of people who would be like, oh my god, that means that you don't even care about all of the representation that like Christina Aguilera gives you. And it's like, that's such a confusing thing to say to me because it's almost the same thing. Like, it's just weird. It's weird. Like, I feel like there's so many people who would directly be like, and mean it, they would say like, wow, you don't even care about all of the representation that Christina Aguilera apparently gives you. And like, I just don't know what I'm even supposed to say about feeling like that. And then also all of the cultural layers to where clearly, yeah, those two are not the same. But there are a lot of qualities that they share that are the same, to where it's so weird to say that to me unless you only saw me as if I were actually the same person as Christina Aguilera, which is really, really, really weirdly ironic because there's no way you were supposed to ever know about that for a lot of reasons. But also because sometimes when I felt like there was no way that I could like deserve to like stand up for myself in certain ways, I would just like pretend that I was Christina Aguilera, but there's no way you were supposed to know about that because it wasn't supposed to be, I never had said that to somebody or did anything that even mirrored the experience. I would just use that to like pretend and be like, well. And like, I feel like even in like a job interview setting, because I'm like, okay, like that's, like, if I were to do that, I would just instantly get the job. But if I were to not pretend, I wouldn't get the job. So I was like, okay, like, but I didn't do a lot. I would just, like, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything different. I would just, like, tell myself in my brain, they're gonna perceive me that way. And that was the only thing I did. I didn't really do a whole lot different. I just didn't really expand ever, like, getting to understand myself at a deeper level or how I would express myself if I got to like choose that on my own. So the only thing I did, so it means you guys are incredibly, not you guys, like people watching this necessarily, but people throughout my life have been incredibly psychic to find out when I was pretending to be Christina Aguilera because I felt like I didn't deserve to survive if I didn't. So unfortunately, you can't really pretend to be anything because people already know on this planet, right? But yeah, it was a really weird dichotomy there, right? It was really weird, but it was also something that people couldn't wait to tear me apart for, even when they found out. And then find some way to be like, oh, you don't even care about all the representation this person gives to you if you want to be interested in this other, like, artist or whatever. Ironically, in very different ways, I didn't feel like Christina Aguilera was representation for me as much as Taylor Swift was, because I felt like when I was a fan of Taylor Swift, it was never about race. That's how I felt. Not that other people felt that way, because I'll be like scrolling on TikTok and I'm like, oh, I see another like 40-year-old very racist white lady who's like saying, wow, I can't believe that I get to be the same race as Taylor Swift, and then I'm like, I don't know what purpose you have, but it's not going anywhere, because I don't know why, I don't know how that's the one thing you took away from you being the same race as this person, and that's what makes you both special. I don't know how you got there. That's crazy. That's crazy. I never saw Christina Aguilera as the same race as me. I never saw her as the same race as me. I never saw her as a remotely similar race. I mean, I saw us both as humans, but I saw her as somebody who I could pretend to be, and other people would be able to see the persona of. Essentially, like, I think Christina Aguilera, she obviously had a lot of moments where, like, she was forced to act more white than she was, so I guess it's not a very thoughtful hiding space, but I didn't think anybody would know that I just told myself right now I'm pretending to be that person, but I'm not doing anything different in my life. Like, nothing is different. But, like, okay, like, I go to a job interview, I get the job because I did that, or something, you know what I mean? So it has survival uses to it, but for other people to be able to tell is freaky and weird, because it means that either, I don't know, you wanted more places to tear people apart, or maybe it means something completely different for you. I don't know what it means. Maybe you're very psychic, but you can tell when somebody doesn't have the representation they need, but your actual human self person doesn't care about that and thinks that the representation is equal because somebody like Christina Aguilera's apparently representation, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, so I don't know why people knew that, unless they were already trying to pick apart, like, what race they saw me as and find out if they thought that I even deserved to exist. Meanwhile, I was just pretending to be that person so that I could deserve to exist and, like, stay alive and stuff. So I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I mean, probably. I don't know. I mean, maybe if somebody had, if I could even talk, I don't know if I can, apparently. I don't know. But that's why I have always made such a tremendous effort to never be racist towards people, but having internalized racist ideas, kind of, it makes me feel like I can't be, like, not racist enough. Like, I also overcompensate for the experience you're having around me, because if I already hold these beliefs around myself, I'm like, oh no, like, what if that means that I'm somehow, like, causing something negative in your experience, and, like, that's not what I want. You know what I mean? Like, I always wanted to have, like an open floor for other people's experiences. I just never knew why I should have an open floor for my experience, because I wasn't really supposed to matter, so I don't know why. You know? I don't know. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, for me, as somebody who's not white and knows that I'm not white, and who also felt like I had to pretend to be somebody who pretended to be white in order for me to, again, it wasn't a very convincing hiding spot, but it worked for, like, survival stuff, you know? Like, okay, someone's being mean to me, but if I pretend to be Christina Aguilera, like, they're gonna stop. You know what I mean? Like, just instantly, like, for no reason. That kind of thing, right? Oh, this person is always terrible to me, but if I pretend to be, like, Christina Aguilera, they're gonna stop, you know? Or, like, oh, I'm meeting a new person for the first time, and, like, they're probably gonna be terrible to me for some reason, but if I pretend to be Christina Aguilera, they're not going to be. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, it just, like, convenient uses, I guess, also. But I was like, but it wasn't like I like, wear a certain outfit, or, oh, I do this to, like, do that, or, oh, do I talk a certain way to do that? Do I talk about different things to do that? No, never. So why were people supposed to have the same exact image and name in their head when, you know, I used what was useful for me, and other people found out. Other people who never would have even been able to do that found out. Like, some of them maybe they could have, but, like, maybe some of them never would have believed in it. But I don't know, I guess I believed in this. Like, I never thought of it as spiritual, but it worked. It gave me results. okay, I got results, like, but what do you mean you found out? Like, what do you mean you found out? Who told you? A squirrel told you? Like, it doesn't make sense. It was always people who weren't supposed to have been able to read minds, because it never would have made sense. So it was like, who told you? Okay, whatever. Combine that with the video I did with... Why is there literally a bug? Fly, like, trying to get me. No, combine this with the video where I literally told you guys that people would always ask me or tell me I was just like Christina Aguilera, which never made sense and obviously looked very racist and probably was. With the fact that I was intentionally trying to avoid all racism towards me because I already had so many internalized racist ideas that I just could not survive having any more, like, added. So I just pretended to be Christina Aguilera sometimes and it just worked. Because, like, I felt like I already had too much of that, so what was I gonna do? I had to pretend sometimes to, like, get by. It was just easier. Because I already felt like I had way too much piled on to where I didn't even know why I would deserve to exist or survive if I didn't pretend to be Christina Aguilera. So then, because I had so much energy to put towards that, like, my soul had so much energy to put towards that because of what my experience had already become, for that reason, like, it made kind of like an energy shield when I would do that. At the cost of not knowing if I had, like, a real identity as a person, right? Which was a very small cost, considering what I used it for. So, I used it to survive. It was a little bit of survival magic. It was strong enough to work, strong enough to convince you, but also, unfortunately, I don't know, weak enough that you guys knew exactly the, like, name that it had and what it was inspired by. So, you know, I did my best. I did my best to not give up on being alive or kill myself or anything. So, starting at a young age, starting at, like, 8 years old, people were like, wow, you're just like Christina Aguilera. I was like, wow, I wonder why. Because I had just already had enough racism somehow in my life, in my experience, that I became, like, aware of, to where I was strong enough to do that to stay alive. So, not that I even know where it came from. That's the whole problem, right? But yeah, anyway. So if you ever wanted to know what, being a girl born in 2002, who's half Colombian, half Irish, you know, going through life, if you ever wanted to know what what that is, you would have just pretended to be Christina Aguilera for, like, 80% of your personal experiences, and the rest of them you kind of forgot, like, to do that or whatever, and then people started to be racist towards you. So yeah, I don't know, Florida probably has, like, a big issue with that, considering I really spent, like, my whole life in Florida, and I don't blame specific people, because I don't even think the people in my personal life are always thinking about that. I think it goes over their head when I do that, and I think that, I don't know, I think wherever I was, however I was, the people who, maybe the people I didn't know, or some of the people I knew, started to just have their own perception of me that did not come from me. So that was, like, I created an energetic shield, and yeah, it was named after Christina Aguilera because that was who it was inspired by, because essentially she did the same thing, but in a more, like, physical way, right? If you already have blue eyes and you put in blue contact lenses to make them more blue, and now you're, like, a different person, and it's like that alter ego thing, right? A little bit. But yeah, so I never thought that it was about race when I was, like, a fan of Taylor Swift, because for me it wasn't. To me, this is somebody who gave me, like, representation of why it's, like, I guess, like, the earliest moment when I learned, oh, there's, like, representation of, like, why you should grow your imagination. And there were other people who I've been friends with, or influencers, or so many other people who helped me out along the way with like learning why that was important. So it doesn't mean that they didn't help. And people of all races were helping me with that at different points. But yeah, like I never ever saw me being a fan of Taylor Swift as involving race directly, because it was always like, here's finally in this world where you're just pretending to be Christina Aguilera and there's no point to anything in your life, and you're not having fun, and you're like, honestly, I do this to survive, but there's no point in surviving, you know? So it was like, finally, here's like representation of like, the point of life is like for you to grow your imagination and like improve and, you know, go through different chapters in your life and reflect on it and like record different parts of yourself and like just learn something, right? And try to improve in some way. So yeah, but like I understand that a lot of people use like Taylor Swift being famous as, this is why only a white person should be famous, and you know, I recast the energy of who I see Taylor Swift as very often now, because I'm like, okay, like I'm mindful of that, but I also still see like representation of like why you should grow your imagination, like why it matters to be a better person, like why does the way that you interact with other people matter, essentially, is kind of like what I was able to absorb a lot of looking up to Taylor Swift. Like, okay, like the way that you treat people matters, stuff like that, right? While also mixing in my whole situation in my life. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess it's funny. I don't know, like little like anecdotal things that happened, like where these were all things I hadn't explained to people, so it's like no wonder they didn't know, so it's not their fault. But like just like when I told my mom I wanted to be a singer, and she was like, but basically wow, as I stutter so much. I guess I didn't consciously realize how difficult that was to say, because it wasn't difficult in my conscious experience, but maybe in my unconscious experience it was difficult in ways I didn't know about. If I'm stuttering, then there must be something I don't know about that makes it difficult, right? To express and to reflect on, even though I don't know that I'm reflecting on it. Like, what a crazy moment. But I do see stuttering as like in the unconscious mind, you can't reflect on something, but you're not consciously aware that you're reflecting on it. So but yeah, I don't know, I guess big reveal or something, guys. Like, I don't know why anybody really cares, but I did go through like 90% of my life just pretending to be Christina Aguilera, but it was very easy to do, and people just weren't racist towards me, even though I look like this. So imagine what type of energy you may be absorbing or interacting with. And it also is a reminder, you don't know what somebody visually looks like before you know if they're having I don't know, I can't even put that into words, it doesn't matter. Like something like a person's exact skin tone, because if you wanted to see my exact skin tone, it's actually fairly light, right? But my features are like, you can tell that I'm mixed and Latina, if that makes sense. You guys are not blind, but you know what I'm saying. I have like a fairly light skin tone, to be saying all of this. So what I'm saying is, you don't know all of the time who feels like they're having a very complex racial experience, or how much trauma they have to unpack to even tell you, just based on skin tone. But skin tone does play a tremendous role on it, because, like, I'm sure if people feel like other people are more likely to be racist towards them because of the way they visually look, then there's like I don't know how I would explain it. Like, I know that other people's experiences are like super important and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm saying I understand why it is super important, because this is how far I had to go in with how I look. And it's not even always about how I look, but like, what do I need to perceive myself in a way where I'm going to survive? Like, and it's not about, oh, I wanted to be a certain race. I never wanted to be a different race. I wanted to perceive myself like somebody who I could survive my own life as. It was never like, and it wasn't like, oh, somebody's gonna kill you. Like, it's not about that. It was never about that. It's like, I don't know. You have to improve yourself and you have to survive in your life. And if it takes something weird to do that, then you do the weird thing. That's how simple it is. If it takes something weird to do that, you do the weird thing. So, yeah. But that's why I cared so much to improve my life also. And people are always like, well, why would you think you deserve like this and this and that? I mean, look what I've already like had to overcome and do and all that. Like, now I don't even know what direction I'm gonna go in, you know? I don't know. And so, yeah, weirdly, I guess when Taylor Swift's like Tortured Poets album came out, half the album felt like it was about her like activating her DNA, and which people are gonna be like, what do you mean? But like, I feel like she was like working on her spirit on the Eras tour and like becoming stronger in all these ways that like a lot of people of any race like might not even, as my voice is like sounding messed up, but a lot of people in their lives, regardless of race, don't have to think about some of the things that she had to think about like every night on the Eras tour and stuff like that, right? Like, oh, like, and people of other demographics also do like similar things as the Eras tour, but anyone who's a performer, they have to think about how they're dancing, how they're singing, like the words they write, what it means and all that. So yeah, but the problem is, or what I thought was kind of weird, like when she came out with Tortured Poets, like it started to seem like maybe she didn't want people of other races like listening to her music and stuff, and that was super weird, because like half the album was about like being white and being super white and like, oh, what are all the other white people gonna think and stuff. Like, it was like getting super weird. It was like obsessed with how white she is and stuff, which sounds funny because then when I explain my experience, it almost sounds like, but I never saw my life as I wanted to be white or I wanted to be more white. Like, I was grateful for my experience. I just had to like survive the way that other people may have like wanted to treat me, and like you know. Yeah, I was never like, I want to be white, so it's not like you won the lottery if you're white or something. No offense, but like, you didn't. It's not about that. It was about like, how am I going to survive the way that other people want to talk to me, the way that other people want to treat me, like that kind of thing. I don't know, guys. So, yeah. So, it's weird now that Taylor Swift's coming out with a new album, because it's like, well, you're a like, across the planet, it's like, well, you're a terrible person if you don't love the fact that this person's coming out with a new body of work, and you're definitely like a terrible person if you're not excited about it, and look how exciting it is and stuff. And like, there's not any reason why her album, The Life of a Showgirl, wouldn't be exciting in certain ways, right? It's not about that, but people think you're like a tremendous hater if there's anything about it that you don't think is like the most amazing thing. But it's like some of her branding in the past couple of years was about, it just felt like it was like, how can she make it more exclusive to like the whitest people on the planet kind of thing, right? So, and then we have this whole like current administration and all of the chaos that entails. There's a lot going on, because you know, as a person going through your life right now, you have to know that everybody's going to think you're a terrible person if you're not excited about, and back then it was about like the Eras tour, like you were going to be a terrible person if you weren't excited about it. And it's like, you know, I don't know, I'm thinking of what I want to say. It's not that I'm not excited about the album. I'm going to listen to the album front and back, even if it's racist against me directly, but that doesn't mean that that's okay to do. I think people need to be able to understand, like, multiple ideas can exist at the same time, and that does not mean that that would be fine to do. You get what I'm saying? Because, like, the Tortured Poets was already weird about that a lot, and no one cared, but it was very, like, I don't know. Like, it felt almost like, well, only a white person could, like, romanticize this part of their life. Like, it was very weird. It was getting very weird. It was getting very weird. But there were also, like, creative, imaginative things about it, right? And I'm not saying you have to, like, completely cancel that person and, like, not be interested at all, but it's definitely weird. There were definitely some weird things going on. So, there were some weird things going on. Doesn't mean it wasn't a good album, it just means that, like, there were some really weirdly racist things going on there. So, it doesn't mean that that wasn't the reason why it was a good album. Those were the songs that were the most skippable, obviously. Like, the songs that were like, honestly, this one's getting so annoying, I'm just gonna skip it, you know? And also, it was also this weird thing where it makes you think, like, well, just because this is a part of my imagination that I'm, like, working on while I'm listening to the album, essentially, it's like, well, does that make me a terrible person? Because I wasn't listening to the song because white people were, like, important in some way. That's, like, in a way that other people aren't, is, like, essentially what those words mean. Which I don't think people are, like, that aware of a lot. So, yeah, it's like, expand your imagination, but if there's some weird part about only white people being, like, important, that's really sad. I think my experience and a lot of other people's experience are, like, part of how it's really sad. Yeah. But yeah, other people not understanding, even people who were in my personal life or are, added a contrast to the ways that people think about these things, because people don't look at me and they're like, oh, that person's ever experienced racism in their life, or thinks that they have, or thinks that they could. So, you know, my mom saying, like, well, any race can be, you know, famous, like, that doesn't have an impact, that doesn't have an influence, but me knowing that does change certain parts and elements of, like, different people's stories and stuff, and, like, makes things more difficult in certain ways, like, wasn't acknowledged. But it's also, like, to what degree was it really my mom's responsibility to care if I personally had a certain experience? Like, that doesn't really make that much sense, I guess. So, where I come from and stuff. So, yeah. And then, when I told my dad, like, oh, I feel like when I go to job interviews, like, they're racist towards me and, like, I don't get the job a lot, he kind of was like, oh, that's not a real thing, like, it doesn't really happen that much, like, you have, like a light skin tone, like, it's not real that it's, like, a thing that could possibly happen kind of thing, which I get is where some people come from in their mind, but racism could happen to anybody. It's not just, like, skin tone, you know? And also having any internalized like ideas about that or patterns, and spiritual patterns with that, because it was a very spiritual thing that other people could tell that I was essentially like pretending to be someone else, even though because I wasn't doing anything. It's not like an acting job where you have a script and then you have an outfit and then you have this and you have that and you have that, or like a persona. There was no persona. It was just kind of like a little like switch in my mind, like, okay, like, which I understand people do in other ways, but with more method to it, like more structure to it, right? Or like more like, here's a different, maybe like dialect or different, like, I don't know, parts of the experience, right? Which I didn't feel like I had a separate set of anything. I would just mentally say that it was different in my head, like at some point, and then just know that. It was just different energy that I like stepped into, I guess. Not that I should have had to or felt like I had to, but it was like, I don't know. How far do you feel like you have to go to like survive or keep yourself alive? So that was definitely just like a built-in thing about like, how far do I feel like I have to go to keep myself alive? From like as early as I can remember, except for, well, okay, it probably started when I was like 8 years old or something. Like it didn't start when I was like 6 years old. Like I don't think I thought about it yet then. Like I think I kind of like knew those ideas were possible, but I didn't like use that yet. So yeah. Yeah. So that's another reason why I felt it was so freaky when people were like, well, you remind me of Christina Aguilera. I was like, well, we have a different hair color and a different eye color and a different skin tone. We do both happen to be, you know, half Latina, but very different ethnicities and backgrounds. So if you're directly forcing that, and I didn't tell you and you're not psychic, then either you're psychic or you think that I don't yet appreciate enough the representation that was out there, but look at the quality. Like, there were other people who could have been representation, so it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think you had a very difficult life comparatively in this area of your life. And then, because I have yet to see, like, if you think that we're like the same, right? Then maybe I had it a little bit harder if you think that I'm the same as Christina Aguilera, because then even the energy you're projecting onto me is weaker than the energy that I'm projecting onto you. Even if you're whiter than me or have a darker skin tone than me or something, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've had to put probably like the most effort into how I talk about the concept of race or see myself in every aspect of my life, to where it's an unconscious switch, but other people weren't supposed to have realized it because I consciously chose it, but then I just step into that unconsciously now. So I don't know, guys, like, I don't know why anybody knew that. And again, it was like an internalized thing against myself, and it wasn't about other people. It wasn't like, I understood why everybody else on the planet would deserve to continue to improve their life and always have a better life than wherever they started. But to keep myself alive, that was how far I had to go within myself to want to keep going from like 8 years old. So yeah. All right, guys. Anyway, now what? Well, I don't know why other people found out. Anyway, now what? I really don't know what to call it other than you might have a weaker chakra system if you found out or thought that it might be true or possible. Like, because it doesn't mean you were so strong that you found out. It means that, like, you didn't have to keep your third eye closed until this point in your human experience to, like, and then you had to open it by doing this and that and whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you probably just have a weaker chakra system if you were 100% sure that I at any point like pretended to be Christina Aguilera, because I had so much energy that I was able to do that, and then you found out and you just had so much energy that maybe you sensed it or you didn't. So, I mean, maybe you have some reason why you're strong too, but like, I'm not stressed that you found out, but like I was before starting the video, because I was like, now what? Like random people are just finding out about this and I didn't like say anything. Okay. So yeah, anyway, I guess moral of the story, I am excited about Taylor Swift's new album. I am excited for the way that everybody's going to expand their imagination around some of the new concepts in the album. But there's so many layered reasons why I'm not excited, and I think that I deserve the opportunity to respect some of the reasons why I'm also not excited, or why I also don't care that much. Even if I care so much, if some parts of me care so much and are so excited, there's some parts of me that are like, well, even like, just, you know how like the Sydney Sweeney ad came out and it was all about how it's so important that she's got blue eyes and like that's like the most important thing, and like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? Anyway, I was so disappointed and so sad when that happened, but I always kind of knew that like a lot of these brands have very fascist undertones to them. And I had, now that I'm talking about it, I don't know how to explain it any other way, but I definitely had like ghosts of myself when I was younger. Like I would be so sad, and I'm not trying to like bash IKEA or anything, because I don't know why this was where I was, but I was so sad when I would walk through IKEA when I was younger, and so I'm just gonna put it out there and say I was like sorrowful when I would walk through IKEA, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what was wrong with them. But I would feel like, and I never really associated it with how I looked, but something was off, because I felt like there was like this imaginary ghost version of me that had like, that was like older and had like red hair or something, like just imaginary, like a girl, like just imaginary like ghost of me, just like running around IKEA and like having so much fun and like so excited to be there, and like it was like there's nothing here that would hurt you to that version of me, but there's something here that hurts me that I don't know about. So I'm not saying IKEA has to be fascist or something or whatever this is, but it was like if I had like red hair and green eyes, like I wouldn't be like hurt by them in some way that I don't know about. So I don't know what that is, guys. I don't know. I'm hoping they're not like, but you know what I'm saying? And it's just a furniture store, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like I would always be so excited to be there, and then I would just be like so sorrowful like walking around, and like I didn't know why. So I'm not saying it has to be about them, but like, you know, when you have like a messed up like part of yourself you don't even know about, it just feels like a ghost, like a part of you is not in your body but like running around like having so much more fun than you are, and it's like I don't know what's wrong with me then. If I'm like somehow like broken in a way, then I don't know. But it's not like I thought race was why I was broken. It's like I felt like the sadness of this imaginary version of me like gets to have fun and I don't. So it was so sad. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about Taylor Swift's new album, but I just don't want another album about how white she is, because it's getting really annoying. It's getting really weird, right? And like people on the news are like talking about the album and stuff, and that's cool and stuff, but the last one was about how white she was, so I don't really know what else she has to like show us. Not that she doesn't, I'm not saying she shouldn't be there, but I'm saying like I hope that it's not gonna just be about like how white she is. I hope there's like dirt on my hand, but like there were a lot of moments in the Tortured Poets department that were just about like, look how much she wouldn't have to put effort in. Like the branding of this album is like, she's so white that like she doesn't have to put in any effort, was what I felt like. You know? It was like, oh, every other artist has to like put on a costume and like have all of this like fun stuff going on, but then like, I know it was like a sad album, but like I'm saying it kind of felt like it was an album for the people who were so obsessed with how white she was. Like it felt weird. It felt weird. So, yeah. I have mixed feelings about Taylor Swift's release, but it doesn't mean that I'm not excited, and it doesn't mean that I would be a terrible person if I were not excited. So that's literally how the world makes you feel, though. How it makes me feel, how it makes you feel, how it makes the tree feel, how it makes this feel, how it makes everybody feel. So, yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. That's really all I want to say. My foot is falling asleep. I love you. Bye.